All right, once there was a Jew, this is a Baal Shem Tov story. Once there was a Jew that made it big. He became rich. He lived in a small town. I mean, he lived in the Jewish sector of a larger town, but the Jewish sector was very small. It had, maybe 1,000 Jews in it or something. And somehow or other, he was a businessman, but he made it big. He made a couple good investments. He became very rich. He became very rich, and he built himself a big, a bigger house. He brought some, and he started feeling really egotistical, really egotistical, and he started more and more the thoughts, why am I sitting among these harky parky, these, riffraff people, simple Jews? I should be hobnobbing it with rich people that are, in my education, my economic class, whatever it is. I should be in the, and the more he started thinking about all these stupid thoughts, the more he became disgusted just to look at the people that were around him and how poor they were and all this. And he's living a real life. He's got money and he's taking big risks and making big profits, and he's beating the market. And anyway, so he becomes so obsessed with this that one day he's sitting and he's praying in the middle of prayers, in the middle of the day. And he has this place right in front of the synagogue because he donates more money than anybody else. Suddenly comes to the sentence right before Shmona Esrei. And it echoes. Somebody in the course of the day called him a balgaiva, called him what do you call it? An egotist, balgaiva. Or he heard two people talking, and the one said he's a balgaiva. He's a balgaiva means an egotist, a haughty person. Anyway, that came into his mind. He said they're calling me. I'm a balgaiva. I'm not I'm an egotist. I'm not an egotist. I just happen to be better than these people, right? The fact that's a fact. I'm living in a real world. What I should be like them. Suddenly he's reading and he's davening, and there's a word we say right before the Shemona Esrei. It says, "A mashpil geim ade oretz umagbiya shfalim ad marom." That God casts down the egotists to the earth, and he elevates the simple people to the highest of heavens. So their words, mashpil geim, it was the same word that this man used that he overheard someone say about him. Then again, that God casts down the egotists, the haughty people, casts them down to the earth. So God thinks that I'm an egotist. He's going to cast me down. What are you talking about? I'm not an egotist. I'm better than everybody else. And he takes off his tefillin in the middle of prayers. He takes off his tefillin and he goes outside. And he leaves. People think maybe he wants to go to the bathroom or something. He goes outside. And he's asking people in the street, tell me, who is the greatest person in the town? Everybody looks at him and says, Mr. Gross, it's you. You're the greatest, you're the richest, you're the wisest, you're the this. That's right. And he asks more and more as he's going out and he's asking people, everybody's saying, hello, Mr. Gross, how are you? And they're sort of bowing down. He says, see, I'm not an egotist. I really deserve it. Anyway, as he gets closer, as he goes out of the Jewish quarter, so he starts asking the non-Jews, who's the greatest person over there? And everybody says, the Bishop Thaddeus. The Bishop Thaddeus, he's the greatest. He says, who's the Bishop Thaddeus? Oh, see the big, you don't know who he is? Look, there's the big house up there on the hill. He sees this big mansion is like 15 times bigger than his house. And he realizes he's living in this little world with these Jews. And there's Thaddeus. And he's mad. The guy's going mad. He's going out of his mind. He's just filled with himself. And he asks people, and nobody knows him. Everybody knows the Bishop Thaddeus. He's the richest, he's the wisest, he's this. So he runs to this Bishop Thaddeus's house, to the castle, and he knocks on the door. And this Thaddeus guy, this bishop, he understands. He's a very smart guy, and he knows what's going on. He understands why would the Mr. Groys come and knock on my door? Obviously, it must be from jealousy or insanity or whatever it is. So he comes to himself, to the door himself. Mr. Groys, please come in. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. You're happy to see me. Of course, of course I know who you are. Well, you're a well-known person. Come sit down with me, Mr. Groys. And he says, well, how can I help you? Said, well, I ask people and they say that you're wealthy and that he said, oh, yes, but I want you to know something, Mr. Groys. He's playing him. He knows exactly what to say. The fact of the matter is that you're much greater than I am. If you wouldn't be a Jew, then you'd have you'd great, maybe 20 times richer than I am. Who knows? Maybe you could even be the prime minister. But what can you do? You're a Jew. You can't. But you know what, Mr. Groys? Let's make a l'chaim. I can teach you some of my skills. And even though you are a Jew, I think you can. You should be able to be at least as rich as I am. What do you say? He says, I think it's a good idea. What can I do? Give you? You just have to tell everybody that I'm the one that taught you. That's all. So he thinks that's not too much. Let's drink on it. I know you can't drink wine with me. Let's make a drink with vodka. Drink vodka. So he says, okay, why not? So this bishop puts gives him, he puts a little pill, something he hides it in his hand and puts it in there, and they say l'chaim, and there's l'chaim, and they drink. They take a couple drinks, and this he says, okay, now sign this paper. You just make an agreement here, and the agreement says that I will teach you everything that there is, everything that I know, and I'm making you a promise that you will be at least as rich as me. But you promise that whenever anybody asks you about how you got rich, you'll say my name. Yes. Meanwhile, this pill is starting to work on him, and he's getting a little bit sort of dizzy. So just sign right here. There happens to be a little clause right in the end, right above where he signs, that says, and I agree that I will also change my religion to be a Catholic, and that if I go back on any one of the above clauses, then all of my money goes to the bishop. All of my money goes to the bishop. So he says, meanwhile, the drug is starting to work on. He says, what's this thing about being a Catholic? He said, oh, yes, you agree you're going to change your religion, and that if you go back on the agreement, then all the money belongs to me. But that's nothing. It's a small thing. It says, meanwhile, he's so confused. Just sign right here, and you'll be rich. Rich, yeah, rich. And he signs. He says, you look really tired, Mr. Gross. Let me put you in a room, and you'll rest it off, and then we'll start learning immediately. So he puts him in a room, and he goes to sleep. He doesn't know how long he's asleep, Gross, and he wakes up and in the middle of the night, and he doesn't know where he is. What happened? It's darkness. The moon is shining through this little window that's way up in time. And he goes to the door. The door is locked. And he tries to see what's going on over there. He looks on the walls. There's all these, crosses and statues and pictures. It's like idolatry. He says, how did I get here? What in the world? Where am I? He looks in the closet. There's no closets. There's no doors. There's nothing. So suddenly he starts to think, 1 second, I remember, he remembers. I remember I went insane in the synagogue. I took off my tefillin. I remember I came running here. I talked to the bishop. He said, I agreed that I'm going to change my religion. I signed on it. I agreed I'm going to. How could I have done such a thing? Oh, help me. He starts to cry to God. He's pounding on the door. Let me out. Let me out. Absolutely nothing. So he figures, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of here? I got to get out of here somewhere. So he looks up and he sees there's this little window right where the moon is shining through. And so he puts the bed up against the wall, and then he takes a chair and he puts the chair up on the end of the bed, and somehow or other he manages to get up on the back of the chair, and he can just get up, and that his fingers, he can grab a hold and lift himself up to the window. So he goes down and he goes down and he wraps himself up in the sheets or the blankets or whatever it is, and he goes up and it exactly fits into the hole. And he gets into the hole and he fits himself in, and he pushes and pushes and pushes and pushes until, and he looks down, it's like 3 stories up, but there's a bunch of bushes down there. So he pushes himself out, middle of the night, and he falls down. He says, it's better that I should die than I should change my religion. Shema Yisrael, and he falls down in the bushes, and miraculously, he gets knocked out, and he gets a big bruise on his head, and his arm hurts, and his leg hurts, but he's still alive. So he runs, he starts to run, and he runs, and he runs, and he runs, and he runs, and runs. And he gets to the Baal Shem Tov's synagogue, shul. It's like just in early morning, the sun is just sort of just starting to come up. And before and he says, Baal Shem Tov, what have I done? I changed my religion. I gave everything away. I want to renege on all the promises that I made. And he said, the Baal Shem Tov says, if so, you realize that if you renege, that you've lost everything. He said, how did you know that? He said, I know. He said, you lost everything. He says, yes, you're right, but I don't care. I'm willing to lose everything. I'll lose all my riches. I was so foolish. I was so egotistical. So the Baal Shem Tov said, so now you see what it said in that sentence. Mashpil game adeoretz, that God casts the haughty people down to the earth. That's what God did. Yes, and I deserve it. Said, okay, now you're going to see the second part. That humble people, he raises up to the heavens. Look over there. What do you see? He looks over. He says, the sun is coming up. The sun is coming up. There's hope. He said, no. The sun is coming up from the other side. That's over there. The sun is coming up. He said, yeah, so what's that over there? Well, the sun is not, that's not the sun. What's lighting up the horizon over there? So that's the bishop's castle. It's burning down. The whole thing is burning down together with the deed that you just wrote. That's what it means. Magbir shvalim, magbir shvalim, mashbil gem adioretz, magbir shvalim ad moron. That you elevate. God elevates the humble people to the highest of highs. When you were haughty, you signed the thing, so God cast you down and you lost everything. But as soon as you became humble, as that fire burst out, and God elevated you up to the highest of high, you got all of your riches back. And that's how the Baal Shem Tov fixed up haughtiness and egotism. And just by the way, it said that the Baal Shem Tov, the last words the Baal Shem Tov said was a sentence from Tehillim, Al Tava'eni Regel Gaiva. Do not bring me to even a little bit of haughtiness. It says that the first letters of Etrog, Al Tava'eni, that even the Baal Shem Tov, as holy as he was still afraid of egotism. That he would say, oh, look how great I am. I think I did it. He would forget about God and he would think only about himself. That shows how sinister and ubiquitous, that's a word, egotism is. Everybody has it. But on the other hand, how humility is the key to defeating it. Have a good day with Mashiach now. See you all tomorrow.